All right, it's Friday. Hopefully I get back to you guys on the weekend, but today we're going to talk about permissible questions on a motor vehicle stop. There's another one I get called about all the time. Oh, my sergeant said I can't ask if there's anything illegal in the car. I actually remember being at a class for Sean Smart years ago, Monmouth County Police Academy. I think it was like 2010 or 2011. And Sean Smart actually asked the class, he posed this question, can you ask if anything's illegal in the car? And half the class raised their hand and said yes, and half the class raised their hand and said no, and the other half raised their fucking hand and looked around. They didn't have an answer for it. So here it comes. Here's the case law. There's 3 cases that address this and what you're allowed to do. I'm going to read some stuff right out of my book here. But the 3 cases are going to be, I have them right here, State versus Hickman. All right, I'm just going to move this over a little bit. State versus Chapman and State versus Brian Puglisi. Puglisi. And that's out of 2000. So I'll attach the links to this video, and you guys can read these cases. They're very easy to read. Explore it a little bit, read about it, and you can see what you were allowed to do. Just be careful when you're reading, because these are appeal cases. So when it says the defendant contends that's the part that they're trying to contend that was illegal. You have to read towards the bottom where the judges rule on what they said was permissible and what wasn't. Okay. So the scope of the stop, permissible questions. Okay. Ordinarily, when a driver has produced a valid license and proof that he's entitled to operate a car, they must be allowed to proceed on his way. All right. So here's what it says here: if, however, during the course of a stop, or as a result of reasonable inquiries indicated by the officer, the circumstances give rise to suspicions unrelated to the traffic offense, an officer may broaden the inquiry to confirm or dispel those suspicions. In State v. Chapman, the court held that during the course of a typical traffic stop, an officer may request a driver's license, registration, insurance card, may run a computer check, should advise the motorist for the reason of the stop, and may ask questions that are reasonably related to the reason for the stop. When the driver's operation suggests fatigue or impairment, the community caretaking function of the police permits questions to the nature of the purpose of the trip and the recent whereabouts of the driver and passengers, their destination, and their relationship to each other. These questions are reasonably related to the purpose of the stop. Wow, you can ask people where they're coming from and where they're going to. And it doesn't have to be tied to any kind of suspicion. That's how you build your reasonable suspicion. You have to ask these questions on a motor vehicle stop. Don't let your bosses tell you you're not allowed to ask these questions, because everybody I stopped got these questions. I had my first evaluation when they passed me, or we cited each other, or I cited them and they cited me. And then my second evaluation was on the motor vehicle stop to see if I was going to go any further with this. I was not out looking to write tickets. I was out to make arrests and interdict drugs and guns and stolen items and kidnappings and all sorts of stuff. And I'm telling you, there's a laundry list of stuff that I got when I was just out looking for crime. All right, so it's amazing. I'm going to read you just this short brief from State v. Hickman and what the case is about. It says after midnight, a car in which the dependent was a passenger was stopped by a Westville officer, Thomas. Thomas had received the information of a West Deptford officer that the vehicle was being operated to an unlicensed driver. Upon stopping the car, Officer Thomas approached the driver and asked for his driver credentials. A check of the driver's license confirmed it was revoked. Additionally, the driver was unable to produce a registration or any other evidence of ownership at this point. At this point, Officer Thomas asked the defendant and another passenger whether they had a driver's license. They both said no. When responding to this question, the defendant appeared to be extremely nervous. He refused to make eye contact and shifted his weight back and forth. Officer Thomas then said to the defendant, "You look really nervous. Have you got something on you that you should surrender right now? Any contraband, weapons, or anything like that?" The defendant said yes, and he pulled a small bag of cocaine from his right shoe. The brief in this question to Hickman was proper. His admission and the evidence was admissible. So don't let somebody tell you that reasonable suspicion, you haven't built it. Because if somebody's acting this way, there's inconsistency in the stories. As a matter of fact, even in Chapman, it was a motor vehicle stop where the trooper explained that the guy was covered in sweat and it was January. That was uncommon. They were talking about a destination where they said they were coming from Vegas after they won some money, and their stories didn't match. They said there were different people, and nothing made sense. And at that point, they were asked for consent to search. That was enough reasonable suspicion to ask for consent to search. Or to ask them if there's anything illegal in the car. You're allowed to permissibly ask, is there anything illegal in the car, when you built up reasonable suspicion. Now, what you can't do without reasonable suspicion, let's say you throw your stupid radar unit on, stick your ass to traffic, which you're not going to see anybody in the car. You're just going to, I'm doing police work. Click your radar unit on, let it run rear. Oh, got one, coming in hot, 27 over. All right, let's say you pull that car over. You literally can't walk up to the car without any reasonable suspicion and go, hey, Officer so-and-so, Trooper so-and-so, Special Officer so-and-so, license, registration, insurance, do you have anything illegal in the car? You have to build that up a little bit, okay? You have to go back, you have to that's why I'm saying when I talk about angling your car and watching traffic, you're going to have those reactions to your presence. But what you're going to want to do is build your case on the side of the road. A lot of times you need to start getting conscious to what your reasonable suspicion is too. A lot of guys have a hard time figuring out what they're seeing. They know something's wrong, and they'll call me, I know something's wrong. I know this guy's up to no good. What do I got? And it's just you got to become more conscious of what you're seeing and what you're experiencing on your motor vehicle stops. Be able to document that stuff in your reports. So just watch traffic and make sure you get that. But these are the questions you're allowed to ask. I know I've had recently somebody local to me said, well, we were told we can't do that. That's interesting. That's great. You must listen to your bosses, but New Jersey Supreme Court says you can. So with that being said, if you guys need anything, reach out to me. All right, no more people registering for Monday and Tuesday. We have to take the thing off the website. We are booked. We are overbooked. I cannot fit anybody. Don't ask me. You can't come. We are way overbooked for the class. We're not telling anybody else they can't come. We're not telling people who already registered they can't come, but we're booked out. So if you guys want to get on a 2-day class, you got to book early. We do book out. The room can only hold so many people, and we're past that already. So, but we'll deal with it as we go along. But have a great night, guys, and streetcoptraining.com if you want to know more about the classes. See ya. Hey, thanks for watching the video. If you liked what you saw, subscribe to our channel or leave a comment below, and also like us too. It means the world to us.